a game that you are super excited about, and that is Armored Core 6.
Are you super excited about this game?
I'll put my head down for a second and let you go ahead.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Armored Core 6. Armored Core 6 is the first installment in the Armored Core franchise in over 10 plus years, and it is from my absolute favorite studio of all time, FromSoftware. Let's go. And I just want to preface this by saying, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a Souls game. I promise.
You promise.
I
Okay,
promise.
Dave. All right, Dave. Let's get this thing rolling here.
So if you guys have never checked out Armored Core before, basically what's happening here is an overpopulation leads to the need to colonize, and it leads to space colonization. It leads to colonization of underground cities. Basically, there's a fallout on Earth. There's limited resources, limited room, and we have to figure something out. Now, this game is a third-person full mech shooter, and what that means is, if you guys are only listening on the Spotify and you're not checking out the gameplay, you can see that your character has been given this ridiculous mech suit, and this mech suit is fully customizable. And if you look at the gameplay, this is a lot of shooting, dude. This is a lot of range combat. I thought you would be really excited about this game. You're not excited?
No, you go forward. I'm going to give my thoughts on why it's not a game I'm super stoked about, but you go first.
Okay.
I want to hear why you think this game is so exciting and stuff like that.
Okay. So basically the premise of this game, why is FromSoftware putting out a game that is technically not a Souls game? And the very simple reason for that is that Armored Core was their first real dip into like a successful game franchise, and they went all the way through Armored Core 5 before they ended up putting out Demon Souls, which was the very first game in the Souls franchise, and then ever since that they've been kind of running with that. But the original audience that loved Armored Core was always waiting for the next installment, and it just never came. I mean, we were getting DS 1, 2, 3, we were getting Sekiro, then we got Bloodborne, then we got Elden Ring, and this is the return to the mech franchise that kind of started it all for this developer. And I think when people hear FromSoft, they just think Souls-based games, and this is to me, this is not going to be a Souls-based game, and there's a bunch of reasons why. And what I think is number one, this is a linear mission-based game. In Souls, you're looking at more of like a Metroidvania, where you're constantly going back to places, you're backtracking, you're finding secrets, you're taking different paths, anything like, all that stuff. This is very much just a mission-based game where you're going to load up mission 1, mission 2, mission 3 in a very linear shot. So people that are worried about that, I play Souls games and I never know where to go and I never know what to do. You're not going to have that experience with this game. You're just always going to keep moving forward. Next is less emphasis on the exploration and puzzles, as it is a linear game. You're not going to be focusing on exploring new areas too much. You're not going to be worried about solving puzzles on how to open doors and how to unlock paths and how to, unlock shortcuts and stuff like that. Again, it's just going to be focused on gameplay, combat, and moving forward, which I think, if you've played Souls games and that part was frustrating for you, you're not going to have that to deal with. There's also no death penalties. So one of the main things that people hate about Souls games is when you die, it's a big deal. You spawn back to whatever bonfire you were at. That could be at the very beginning of the game. If you haven't rested, you lose all of your souls. There's a very big penalty in Souls games for dying, and in this game, that's not the case. You're not going to lose any of your upgrades. You're not going to lose any of your mats. You're not going to lose a lot of your progress. There's going to be very automatic checkpoint systems, and I think, again, people that feel like Souls games kind of cheat you when you die, you're not going to have to deal with that either. It's also very fast-paced movement. So in a Souls game, you're looking for a lot of slower based combat where you really need to time out your moves precisely. You need to learn move sets. You need to learn your enemy's weaknesses. You need to learn all these types of things. This is going to be much more of like a Spider-Man style, fast paced, hit the buttons hard, like masher kind of style. And I think people are going to be excited about that. And yeah, I don't think that it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a Souls game. And I think that FromSoftware has proven itself to be a very reliable developer in the field. And I think if you take all of those aspects, but take everything that they've applied to the Souls franchise on how to make a great game, I think this one is going to be a total home run, especially for people that are looking for a shooter title that's a little bit different and something new. Go ahead, crap on it.
All right. So I understand the excitement from the fan base that has played the Armored Core 6 or Armored Core series in general, and they want something different. But to me personally, and I might get some heat for this, I don't think this game looks good. I think it almost looks like it's flat. There's not a lot going on in the game. And it seems almost like they didn't stray away from, I don't know how to explain. Like, it almost looks like they just like carbon copied it from the originals. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's kind of flat. Like, I don't think it has very much excitingness to it, but that's maybe because I haven't played the Armored Core series like at all. And I just think it just doesn't look that interesting to me. Again, that's probably because I haven't played the Armored Core, and I do get a little Dark Souls feel to it, the way the bosses are set up. And but you did, I had a lot of those notes on like why it's different than the Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And you hit like literally every single one I was going to talk about. So, but to me, I think it's kind of flat.
Okay, I do understand that a little bit, and I think what FromSoftware is really great at as a developer is giving the fans exactly what they want. So okay. I think they realize. I think FromSoftware is like one of the few developers that truly does listen to the fan base and listens to their feedback on how to improve the games. And they're one of the biggest proprietors of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
yeah.
Souls games, if you look back on Souls games, there's not a lot of changes. If you're moving from, say like if you're moving Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, there's not a lot of changes in the gameplay mechanics themselves. The only things that were changed were what the fans were really focused on, like this needs to be improved, and all of the core gameplay mechanics were left alone because they know that these players have a certain style and a certain expectation when you load that game up. And I think they did the same thing, and they did it for the base of Armored Core 1 through 5 players, where it might look a little flat, but if you go back and look at the original gameplay of the first 5 games, I think that this is going to be exactly what those players want the game to be, just in an updated next-gen format.
Okay.
So I do understand that it might be, it might look a little flat, but I do think that they are very much tailoring to the audience of Souls players and Armored Core players from the past that just have a certain expectation, and they're making that game for them. And I honestly commend them for it. Yeah. So I honestly, I think you should give it a shot, dude. I really do think you should give it a shot. Why do you think it's Souls based?
Well, just the way the boss fights are set up and stuff like that. That's why I think it looks like a Souls based game. But if I'll get it on sale, I'll give it a shot. This is a game that I'll give a shot, especially if you love it so much. But you got me to play Dark Souls 3, so I might as well try some of these other ones that you told me to play. But I don't know. I do. So I think if they wanted to cater to really the Armored Core 6 or Armored Core series players, they wouldn't have started a new like a soft reboot of the series. You know what I mean? So this is supposed to be a soft reboot, of kind of a storyline. Yes, it has the lore of the old ones, but it's supposed to be like a new story. I think if they were trying to target specifically the Armored Core players, that they would have stuck with the series rather than creating a soft reboot.
So I think we talk about this all the time, right? And we talk about this specifically with the comic book movies of like cater to the comic book audience, right? Because the comic book audience expects a certain storyline, they expect certain things to happen. And if you don't provide that, you're going to get a lot of people that are upset. And the major reason to do that is because the comic audience is going to get upset, and the audience that doesn't know the story is never going to know anyway, right? So I think that's exactly what they did, but they did it in game form. Is like they've kept the original things that all of the Armored Core fans from 1 through 5 loved about the game and the lore, and they've just given people a window to get back into the game, like new players to get into the game, because this game is 10 years since the last reboot. But the new players aren't going to know that it's the exact same as the old game. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense at all? I feel like it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It definitely does. No, it does. I feel what you're saying. But again, I'm not super excited about this game. But I can see why people are excited about this game. So that's the thing. I say I'm not excited about it, and it looks flat to me, but doesn't mean it's going to be a bad game for the people that are looking for Armored Core 6. You know what I mean?
I think, just another main thing is like Souls is very much not, it's very much not focused on ranged combat. You can don't get me wrong, you could do magic builds and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's up in your face melee. I mean, this is traditional. This is taking that Souls engine and just putting it into a shooter title where it's very much longer range combat. Your mech suit is going to be fully customizable, so you can load in different types of like mechanics, different types of weapons, different types of upgrades and power ups. I don't know. I'm super excited for it. I'm sorry, I'm not super excited for it. I was like, this might be a game he's gonna be all about, but it is not.
Maybe we'll see, but not right now. That's okay though. That's okay. There's tons of other games I'm super excited about, and that you're not. So it kind of works out. It's a give and take kind of situation.
My dudes, this game is dropping August 25th, so very soon. I wanted to talk about it before it came out. Put it on your radar. If you are an Armored Core fan, you probably already know about this game. If you're a Souls player and you're looking for something a little bit different, check this one out. And if you're looking for a first-person shooter that's an amazing, or a third-person shooter that's like an amazing story experience, not so much focused on like multiplayer and stuff like that. If you're looking for a story-driven experience with a shooter title, check this one out. It should be pretty cool.
Kind of going one more note with it, kind of how you said it's not multiplayer focused. There will be PvP,
but there's no co-op, and there's no like multiplayer in the true sense of like multiplayer battle. Like you're not loading in at like in like a COD lobby with 6 mechs against each other, but yeah, there will be PvP, which FromSoft is known for their PvP. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.